All right, what's up? Now I'm gonna make another video studying the concept of leisure, and let's start without any introduction. So now I'm reading the article on Wikipedia about leisure. For the last few days, I've read like these three paragraphs, and I commented on them, and then I read the history of leisure yesterday and spent 90 minutes talking about these some concepts from there. And also I was looking for quotes, and now I'm going to continue and finish. Well, I'm not sure that I'll be able to finish this article today, but at least I'm going to read this section, like about types, and consider it, and then probably I'm going to start reading this article by Bertrand Russel, in price of in praise of idleness. Let's begin from types. So the range of leisure activities extends from the very informal and casual to highly organized and long-lasting activities. All right, the range of leisure activities extends from very informal and casual to highly organized and long-lasting activities. Casual and organized. Okay, so it's maybe like time. Some activities when you just do nothing and you don't actually organize your leisure to some certain routinized, organized process. Anyway, a significant subset of leisure activities are hobbies which are undertaken for personal satisfaction, usually on a regular basis, and often result in satisfaction through skill development or recognized achievement, sometimes in the form of a product. The list of hobbies is ever changing as society changes. There's a list of hobbies. Wow, that's cool. All right, so there are many different forms of leisure, like very informal or activities. Yeah, forms, activities, very informal and highly organized, long-lasting activities. So it may be hobby, it may be sport, it may be whatever we may choose: walking, talking, speaking clubs, and etc. Substantial and fulfilling hobbies and pursuits are described by sociologist Robert Stebbins as serious leisure. Okay, substantial and fulfilling hobbies. Yes, some hobbies, of course, maybe like for me, for example, studying language is first it was a hobby, and I remember 2012 I started studying English. I spent an hour a day just trying to memorize some words, and I practiced on different sites like Busicom, whatever, Lingualeo, Duolingo. I guess it was like didn't appear at that time, and I was practicing on different sites. And it was just a casual activity, just hobby. I had some other things to do, and for me, I was just investing an hour into studying language, and now it's more like a job. So I have a speaking club. I study all the time language. I have a YouTube channel, and all this just grew from just leisure activity to work. But it's not like, again, it's like it work and simultaneously it's not work, since I perceive it more like leisure. So I don't need to do whatever I'm doing. So I'm doing it because I want to do that. If I don't want, I do something else. Serious leisure. Yeah, serious leisure, sociologist Robert Stebbins. The serious leisure perspective is a way of viewing the wide range of leisure pursuits in three main categories: casual leisure, serious leisure, and project-based leisure. Okay, so casual leisure, it may be, I'm just tired, I go home and watch TV. So it's like casual leisure if I don't do it regularly and on purpose. So serious leisure, it's more about like sport, like playing chess, for example. I may play chess an hour a day. It's a hobby and I do it on purpose. And I have fun while I'm doing that. And it's like, no, it may be more serious leisure, right? Which may bring some achievements. So if I play a video game, I may just grow in status and play with better players and gradually become a professional player. And project-based leisure is basically something like studying language, for example, maybe a project-based leisure. So first you do it just like a hobby, and then you probably may make it your profession if you want and if you succeed. Anyway, so let's I guess I'll put this in my list. By the way, from like yesterday, oh man, yeah, yesterday I wrote the definition of leisure and some adjectives, and today I added some quotes and a few sentences from like this part of the article, which like will help me to build a conversation at the end of the week. So it's like one sentence, I read the sentence, and then we can discuss it. And this is like today I probably add something else like this, like three types of leisure. Yeah, I guess I'll add it too, and we'll consider it more closely in the conversation. Anyway, and here they are. So serious leisure is a systematic pursuit of an amateur hobbyist or volunteer that is highly substantial, interesting, and fulfilling, and where participants find a leisure career. Okay, serious leisure, once again, is a systematic pursuit of an amateur hobbyist or volunteer that is highly substantial, interesting, and fulfilling, and where participants find a leisure career. It's just like you're not, for example, you play football, but you're not a professional player, but you play it, you're serious about playing, and then gradually you may transform into a professional football player. Yeah, I guess something like that also happened in my life. And by the way, here I'm talking a lot about my experience, since my goal is like studying language and studying language, studying different concepts and making sense of them. And the best way of making sense of something is just describing and kind of matching it with your personal experience so that it makes sense and you may understand it better. So, and in my experience, I remember I was playing poker, and it transformed almost instantly. Like I was playing poker, the first time I started playing poker, it was 2005, and it was like a pleasure. So I was playing video games a lot and in computer clubs, and we discovered poker, and lots of people started playing poker, and it was just for fun. But later, at 2009, I started playing poker on a professional level, and I was playing for 2 years. And I remember, like, for me, for first, it was just, playing was for fun, and it was kind of, what do they call it? Systematic. No, it wasn't a systematic pursuit. It was just, something highly interesting and fulfilling. Yeah, but gradually I built a career out of it, and for 2 years I was a professional player. And like what I was doing, yeah, I remember it ruined everything. I mean, when I was playing poker, I earned some money, but not too much, and it wasn't for money. It was just for fun, and it was like a pleasurable activity. But then, when I started making money, it changed, and I remember I stopped playing poker after a few years, and those few years they weren't fun to some sense, but mostly when there was a transition from hobby to work, I developed kind of disgust towards this activity. Whereas when it was just a hobby, when I did it on, without any purpose, it was fun, and I got more fun from that. And gradually, I stopped playing poker mostly, not mostly, but I started studying literature, and I was engaged in literature, and I decided to give up on poker and focus my attention fully on literature, to read books, to become a writer. And yeah, anyway, so serious leisure, once again, something that may be transformed into a career, and something that we do, like something like we have some passion or interest about. Yeah, for example, collecting stamps or maintaining a public wetland area. Well, I'm not sure. Collecting stamps, yeah, it may be like, but okay, this is an example: systematic pursuit of an amateur hobbyist or volunteer, where participants find a leisure career. But I don't like this example: collecting stamps or maintaining a public wetland area. People People undertaking serious leisure can be categorized as amateurs, volunteers, or hobbyists. Yeah, I'd like to put all this also in my, in my list for a conversation. I guess there's something to talk about, like distinguish between amateur, volunteer, and hobbyist. What's like what it means and how we understand it. Their engagement is distinguished from casual leisure by a high level of perseverance, effort, knowledge, and training required, and durable benefits in the sense that one can create and affect a leisure career through such an activity. So such activity, once again, their their engagement is distinguished from casual leisure by a high level of perseverance, effort, knowledge, and training, required and durable benefits in the sense that one can create and affect a leisure career through such activity. Oh, a leisure career. I like this expression, a leisure career. So basically, what I've done with English, I created a leisure career out of it. So I was studying English for fun. It was not just for fun. That sounds silly. I was studying because I wanted to get wiser. And studying language, I always had this perception that it's meaningful activity. So whenever I study language, I know that I don't waste time. And studying language became for me a kind of an obsession. First, it became an obsession with my native language. So when I started writing, I realized that I want to develop my style. And it took me like 6 years to learn to write without mistakes. So after school, for example, when I graduated from school, it was 2000, the year 2000. And yeah, I didn't use writing for 8 years, but at 2008, I started writing, and I realized that I can't write. I can't put my thoughts in a meaningful structure. So I can't really organize my thoughts. And I started practicing, and there was lots of mistakes. I didn't know grammar, and punctuation was terrible. Like in Russian, punctuation was even harder than in English. But anyway, punctuation, everything was terrible. And it took me 6 years to learn to write without mistakes and to develop my style. And yeah, and gradually I created kind of career out of that. But no, I never earned money from my pursuit in languages. I mean, in Russian language, for example, I didn't sell books. I didn't publish anything. I mean, I published on the internet, but I didn't earn money from that. And so it was just, like a hobby. It's still a hobby. But a leisure career, it's not a hobby. It's already something that like work. So you may, for example, in school, right? You may like to play something like, for example, football, right? And then you may practice playing football like an amateur or a hobbyist. And probably at the end of the school, if you are going to develop the skill, if you are going to be like a very good player, you may just go and become a professional football player. And at the same time, in the same sense, we may consider all sorts of activities which we do for fun, for just for their own sake. When we get good at it, we may just go and develop a leisure career uh, through such activity. Okay, serious leisure. That's what serious leisure means. So it's not just, you do it, but you also have a kind of background thought that it may be turned into some professional thing. Like again, with English, 2016, when I started visiting English speaking club, I couldn't speak. I realized that, this is what I wanted to do to develop my speaking skill. And it took me half a year of hard work to get to the level when I could understand basic, videos. When I watched something on YouTube, some videos mostly dedicated to grammar and language. So it basically was lessons, English lessons, and I could understand all English lessons. I also could understand some videos from TED, but only when they were about something that I knew. For example, I could watch a video like, and I basically prefer to find videos by how-to questions. So I was studying like speaking and listening. So I wanted to understand English, and I was basically typing questions like how to understand language, how to learn to write, how to learn to listen to. And I discovered some videos. I watched them, and I could understand probably 70% of the what was there. And it took me another half a year to learn to speak, and probably, yeah, to speak more or less, fluently. But I wouldn't say I could speak fluently that time, since my speech was incomprehensible for others. But for me myself, I could, put my thoughts in, like, in words, in language. And even though it was hard for other people to understand me, but I myself could speak for half an hour and understand what I'm saying. And then for another half a year, I learned to understand almost everything what I watched. But the whole idea was that, again, already 2016, at the end of 2016, when I first started writing in English, and when I tried to shift my journal from Russian to English, and I started doing it in November 2016. The whole month I was writing in English. Again, it was incomprehensible. Grammar was terrible. I just tried to put my thoughts almost in the same form as I had them in Russian, and kind of literally translate from Russian to English, but not using a dictionary, but trying to remember like all these words which I needed for that purpose. And the first month it was terrible, but I forced myself to write for the entire month. And then I gave up, since it, as I said, was terrible. I couldn't pursue it longer. But after half a year, I made the second attempt, and that time it was successful. And for half a year, I was writing only in English. And after like half a year of writing in English, I realized that I can write in English all the time and speak in English and think in English all the time. And obviously I could able to understand everything that I watched. Yeah, and as I said, 2016, at this time in November, I already had this idea that it may be turned into a kind of leisure career. So I was, I was thinking that like this is what I really like to do, like watch videos, read books, and learn language, write and speak and do self talks, whatever. And I realized that if I continue doing that for a couple of years, so if I'm able to organize my life in a way that I may study English all the time and learn to think, that gradually it's going to be, transformed in something, and I may probably earn money by, giving some lessons or doing some activities like speaking clubs. Maybe I can make a kind of business project out of speaking clubs. But the whole idea was that I wanted to learn, and I don't want to make money by using my skills in English. So of course I may teach English, but it's not the purpose. I can live with $100 per month, so it's enough for me, and I don't need more. That's the whole idea. I don't really need more. And so if I, for example, have a speaking club now once a week, there are some participants, they pay like 10, not even 10, 5 bucks for a meeting. And in a month I get from like usually from 5 to 10,000 rubles, and it's completely enough for me for life, and I don't need more. And I might dedicate all the time to develop my language, develop my skills, to read books, to watch videos, and to record videos, to work here. And that's really amazing, and that's exactly what I had in mind. So I didn't think that, oh, probably I'll learn English, become a perfect, and then I'll get lessons and I may earn like 100,000 rubles a month, 1,000 bucks per month. I don't need it, really. It's like, for me, it's unnecessary. I know exactly how much money I need. I have a budget I've been maintaining my budget for 10 years, more than 10 years. So I know how much money I need, and it's just 100 bucks per month. And sometimes it's even more than necessary, since sometimes I don't need even 100 bucks per month. I don't want to work more. So I don't want to work like now, for example, if we consider like my activity, so I spend, like, I have leisure in a week. I have 112 hours, like wakeful time. So I'm awake for 112 hours. So 16 hours every day, multiply by 7, 112 hours. And there's only like 10 hours which I must do something, like speaking clubs and some other activities which I decided to work on. It's like my work time, so 10 hours a week. And it's not just even work, since I don't consider a speaking club like work. This is also, it's not work, and I don't need to do that, but I'm doing it just because I really want to do that. Anyway, so and yeah, and I may easily, so if I need money, if I need to earn more money, I can easily, increase this from 10 hours to 50 hours. Yeah, it's like to make a usual working week, like 40 hours a week. People work like 8 hours a day, 5 weeks, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. I may increase this time and earn like as 4 times more, but I don't need it. That's the whole idea. Why do I need to work more if I just need this small amount of money? And all the other times, like leisure for me is more important, more valuable than money. And the whole, like, whatever I'm doing to have as much leisure as possible. And yeah, okay, serious leisure. Once again, it may be turned into career. For in my case, serious leisure is just studying language and becoming a professional, whatever, linguist, philosopher. So reading. Oh, that's cool. Let's read about this. As literacy and leisure time expanded after 1900, reading became a popular pastime. A popular pastime. New. Wait, I didn't read this sentence. Yeah, like as careers as such an activity. Yeah, let's get back. The range of serious leisure activities has grown rapidly in modern times, with developed societies having greater leisure time, longevity, and prosperity. Longevity, what's that? Let's check it out. I'm not sure whether I pronounce it correctly, and I'm not sure whether I understand the meaning of the word. The amount of time that someone, oh,
Longevity.
longevity, longevity,
Longevity.
longevity. So it's like basically how many years you live. Once again, the range of serious leisure activities is growing rapidly in modern times, with developed societies having greater leisure time, longevity, and prosperity. The internet is providing increased support for amateurs and hobbies to communicate, display, and share products. So once again, like what I'm doing here, it's also I guess I'm passionate about it since I see that it may become a kind of a leisure career. So now I'm an amateur. I'm making YouTube videos like an amateur, and I'm making them not because I want to attract the audience, but because I want to develop my skills. So the whole idea with this video is just I'm learning to speak English and be comfortable in front of the camera. And I see that if I continue doing that for a year, I'll probably become a professional and will be able to speak and to give some lectures, not necessarily related to English, but maybe to philosophy, psychology, science in general, better than any professional. So in the whole idea that if I practice 1 hour a day and read this, work on this project, it may become a leisure career. And that's fun. So now it's like I have a lot of time. And by leisure career, I mean, if I may make these videos, for example, once a week, not every day, but just no, I like to do that every day. But supposedly I grew an audience with like 10,000 members, which is, if I really want, if I dedicate all my time, I can do it like not easily, but I'm sure that I can grow like 1,000 subscribers with no big effort. But I also understand that it's going to end up my leisure career. I mean, not leisure career, but the whole point is that I'm trying to protect my leisure time. And I know that if I have 10,000 subscribers, I won't be able to do what I'm doing right now. I will always be dependent on these subscribers. I will have this extra motivation to make more videos, to study deeper, to grow the audience, to work. And that's what I don't want to do. Like I want to be independent. I want to do things which I'm doing without being dependent on any audience. And that's the key here. So in one sense, I want to develop like whatever YouTube channel with 10,000 subscribers and make a video once a week and get enough money to live. And on the other side, I don't want to do that since I don't want to be dependent on any audience for my life. And now I have all these opportunities to live, and I don't want to there's all sorts of I don't want to become kind of I understand that if I do it really well, it's like 10,000 subscribers, it's nothing, but I can earn like 1 million subscribers, and then it's going to become a work. And then I will think about money and start thinking about, oh, probably I need to earn lots of money and go and buy some stuff and live this modern lifestyle. But that's what I don't want to do. That's the whole idea. I want to think and read books and write. And I know that money is dangerous for my writing pursuits. So if I had lots of money, I wouldn't probably write. What the hell I'm going to write for if I already have everything? Yeah, I'm writing because for me it's a kind of urge. I don't know. Okay, let's get back to studying leisure. Uh, what was there? So there are lots of activities. Like it's like I guess wherever we like serious leisure. So if we consider serious leisure as a project, what was the name? Where would it turn into a project? I remember there was something like turn into a project. Oh, okay, a project-based leisure. Yeah, it may just grow from casual leisure, serious leisure, and project-based leisure. So the whole idea is that I don't want to turn it into a project-based leisure. Yeah. But now, whatever you do for an hour a day, if you do it with effort and if you pay attention and if you really like to do that, you may basically turn anything in a project-based leisure. So any kind of activity which you are uh, passionate about, you may just record videos about this activity, publish them on YouTube, and just grow your audience and communicate with other people. And just by doing that, you may just turn it into a project-based leisure. And basically, you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to find the work. You don't need to care about the career. That's mind-boggling. I mean, really, it's like anything. Just an hour a day, few hours a day, and yeah, it depends, of course, on the amount of time you have. But I'm talking about the high-quality attention activity. So it's not like you do it, you do one thing and think about the other. So if, for example, you make videos about gymnastics, right? So you have to really be focused on gymnastics and not just do it 1 hour a day and record videos, but also, you know, think about it and be like present anytime when you do this activity. Anyway, let's get further. Reading. As literacy and leisure time expanded after 1900s, reading became a popular pastime. New additions to adult fiction doubled during 1920s, reaching 2,800 new books a year by 1935. Wow, it's like it's only I guess in America, but 200, maybe just one language in English. I don't know, but it's a lot. I mean, it's more 280 books. It's more than a person is able to read for a lifetime if he is a passionate reader like me. For example, I haven't read 2,800 books, even though I've been reading for the last 13 years, a lot, even for 14 years, I guess, since 2007. Yeah, I've read maybe just 500-600 books, and it's less than is published. It less, it's 4 times, like it's much less. It's a quarter of what had been published by the year 1935. Libraries tripled their stocks and saw heavy demand for new fiction. A dramatic innovation was the inexpensive paperback, pioneered by Alan Lane at Penguin Books in 1935. Yeah, it's like there are lots of in terms of writing and reading, there are lots of reading, like lots of books which are completely useless since people just write them to make money. And Schopenhauer was concerned about that like 50 years before, not 50, 100 years before. So he says aphorisms like Paragra and Paralimpomena, aphorisms of living wisdom. And he talks about it a lot, that people write for money. They don't write because they're passionate about something and they want to share it. They write to earn money since it's very popular. People have more leisure. They read books, and if you just learn to write well, and at that time, of course, when there was no writers, to learn to write well, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, you may just spend a couple of years and become a very good writer. Since now, like there are so many writers to really to get there, you have spent like 5-10 years at least and do like serious work, and then you may compete with real writers. Whereas back then there was almost nobody to compete with. Well, there was of course people, but the now with the rise of the internet, I guess every day 2,800 books is written or published. Really, seriously, how many people are living here on Earth? 9 billions, like 9 fucking billions, or 8 billions, from 8 to 9 billions. Wow! Like if just 1% of them learn to write, and when you learn to write, I mean you will not stop. The whole idea with writing is that as soon as you learn to write, you will not stop. It's like speaking. So when you learn to speak, like every human being speaks. There's no well, some of them, like there's a certain disease which doesn't allow you to speak, but on average, we may say that every human being speaks. And that's so crazy, since very few people write. So, of course, when we say, oh, if we chat in like social networks, if we texting our friends, we're writing. No, we're not. We're not. It's not writing. SMS and texting, it's not writing. Real writing is like when you really know, like when it's like speaking. So you develop it. And again, like everybody speaks, but how many people really work on their language? It's like very few. And the same with writing. So I guess like writing, it's I would like to compare it like when you learn to write, there's no way to stop doing that. So you will always have this urge to develop your writing skill. And if we take just 1% of the Earth population, which is going to be like 80 million people, 80 fucking million people. Wow. It's like, or 90 million people. It's just 1%, 90 million people who can, if 1% writes, and I guess there are more people who write, but let's say there's 1%. It's like, there are different languages, but anyway, so it's 90 million people. And let's suppose that everyone publishes a book once a year, or not necessarily publishes, but writes a book once a year. Wow, it's like for a year it's 90 million books, and every day we divide it at 365, or roughly at 400, and we'll have like divide on 100, 800,000 divided for 200,000 books each day. Unbelievable. Like, yeah, it's maybe it's stupid calculation, maybe it's it's not accurate, but if the whole idea is if there's 1% of population, if the 1% of population of humans write, they and if they publish a book a year, we have 200,000 books published every day, or not, or written every day. I mean, 208,000 books per year. It's nothing. But okay, let's read further. Libraries, blah blah blah, Penguin, blah blah blah. They were sold cheap, usually sixpence, in a wide variety of inexpensive stores such as Woolworths. Penguin aimed at an educated middle-class Middleborough audience. Penguin aimed at the educated middle-class Middleborough audience. It avoided the downscale image of American paperbacks. The line signaled cultural self-improvement and political education. The more polemical Penguin specials, typically with a leftist orientation for labor readers, were widely distributed during the World War II. However, the war years caused a shortage of staff for publishers and bookstores, and a service shortage of rationed paper, worsened by the air raid on Paternoster Square. in 1940 that burned 5 million books in warehouses. Okay, so romantic fiction was especially popular with Mills and Boon, the leading publisher. Romantic encounters were embodied in a principle of sexual purity that demonstrated not only social conservatism, but also how heroines could control their personal autonomy. Adventure magazines became quite popular, especially those published by D.C. Thompson. The publisher sent observers around the country to talk to boys and learn what they wanted to read about. The storyline in magazines and cinema that most applied to boys was the glamorous heroism of British soldiers fighting wars that were perceived as exciting and just. Yeah, literature, American literature. Oh, yeah, it's probably was written by since it's about American books, so it's about American culture. It's not even about British culture, I guess. Penguin books, Woolworths, whatever. Yeah, I guess in Russia we was writing about different stuff during this time of communism. It was all like all literature was around propaganda of communism and what dialectical materialism. Anyway, I wasn't present back then. I came across a little bit later. But so reading, reading as a leisure activity became popular in 19th century and grew rapidly towards the mid of 19th century. But of course, then radio, TV is like it's just it's mind-boggling. I mean, the comparison how many people were involved in cultural life by watching TV. Yeah, TV played a huge role. I mean, in this development of civilization, society, at first. Then, of course, it's all were corrupted as everything else. So newspapers as well. So first was amazing, then like lots of shit appeared there, and the same with the internet. I guess now it's all free and you may do whatever you like, but probably in 100 years it's going to be corrupted as well as TV. So people who just hang out on the internet is going to be considered as those who now watch TV, since there's a huge gap between generations now. People who watch TV and those people who don't watch TV and use the internet, they don't understand each other. Since I don't understand people who watch TV. Like no way for me to communicate with them. It's like I don't want to do that. I don't understand what they are doing. It's like it's crazy, just time wasting. But anyway, yeah, casual leisure. Casual leisure is immediately intrinsically rewarding, and it is a relatively short-lived, pleasurable activity requiring little or no special training to enjoy it. For example, watching TV or going for a swim. Yeah, casual leisure. TV is like you don't need any skill, you don't need anything to do, you don't need anything to be able to have pleasure from casual leisure. All right, a project-based leisure is a short-term, moderately complicated, either one-shot or occasional, through infrequent creative undertaking carried out in free time. For example, working on a single Wikipedia article or building a garden feature. Oh, okay, project leisure. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. It's a project leisure. So I'm studying, I'm doing it on purpose, but I record myself and publish it since, it's kind of, I know that something may grow out of it. And it's also, it's hard to draw a line between serious leisure and project-based leisure, since serious leisure may be considered as project-based if you have just a certain thought in mind that it may be turned into something bigger than just the activity itself. But I guess serious leisure, it's more about an activity, and project-based leisure is more about the purpose. So in serious leisure, you just enjoy doing something and you do it with the thought that maybe somehow it may be turned into a project and something else. And project-based leisure is basically you're you're doing something that you enjoy to do, but you keep in mind that you're doing it because of something, so you have a certain purpose. Well, yeah, I would say I stop here. I'm not going to uh, go further. I leave one more day. Tomorrow I'm going to read about cultural differences, family leisure, aging, and yeah, and it's going to be Thursday, and on Friday I probably reach this document. But yeah, now it's just how long I've been talking, like less than an hour, I guess. Yeah, I guess I may just record a little bit more. I'll try to read the In Praise of Idleness by Bertrand Russel. So at least I just start doing that and see how it's going to grow. I don't have an intention to comment on every sentence, so I'd better read just a paragraph and then think about a paragraph. But I'm going to read aloud since my purpose is here also to practice pronunciation and to train my reading skill. So I'm going to learn to read aloud. So let's try to do that. Like most of my generation, I was brought up on the saying, Satan finds some mischief for idle hands to do. Being a highly virtuous child, I believed all that I was told and acquired a conscience which has kept me working hard down to the present moment. But although my conscience has controlled my actions, my opinions have undergone a revolution. I think that there is far too much work done in the world, that immense harm is caused by the belief that work is virtuous, and that what needs to be preached in modern industrial countries is quite different from what always has been preached. Everyone knows the story of the traveler in Naples who saw 12 beggars lying in the sun. It was before the days of Mussolini, and offered a lira to the laziest of them. 11 of them jumped up to claim it, so he gave it to the 12th. This traveler was on the right lines, but in countries which do not enjoy Mediterranean sunshine, idleness is more difficult, and a great public propaganda will be required to inaugurate it. I hope that after reading the following pages, the leaders of the YMCA will start a campaign to induce good young men to do nothing. If so, I shall not have lived in vain. Oh, that's a cool. So yeah, let's make a short comment on this paragraph. So basically, he says that this idea of hard work and labor, which is praised, is problematic, and he wants to persuade people to do nothing. And yeah, why I don't know. It's like I may have some guesses. So he will say that all this working hard is basically on one side it leads to increasing welfare and building some whatever cities, some what cars, roads, everything, increasing human wealth. But it doesn't solve the problem. That's the whole idea. So why do we do that? Like the whole idea of labor on a moral scale isn't just to work because of work. It's like to work to end poverty. And there are so many people who suffer from the lack of food. But even though people started working seriously at the beginning of industrial era, it didn't solve the problem with poverty, and probably even increased it since they're like this whole class struggle, proletariat and capitalism. So one people just get benefits from most of the population, and like 90% of people work hard, but all fruits are captured by those who don't really work. And those who don't really work, they push forward this idea of work. So for example, I don't work, right? And let's suppose I was a millionaire who benefited from, I was a what a bourgeois philosopher, bourgeois philosopher. So I had this aim, like some billionaires come to me and say, you have to develop this idea that people must work hard and work more, and engage them in work. And I say, okay, let's do that. And I start writing like some articles and developing this propaganda saying, oh, everybody must working hard. You are able to achieve like great results. You will be able to be successful, to become an Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or whoever the hell you want to become. And yeah, this whole idea, what it brings is like people work more, but it doesn't solve the problem. There's still like 90% of people working hard and 10% of people just getting all these benefits. And by getting these benefits, they build, high castles. They just basically live like the leisure class. And this leisure class, of course, it's interested, not interested. Damn it, I'm tired of using the word interested too much. So, okay, let's say interested. I don't have time to think about different words. So this class is interested in people working more. And so what does it do? It just takes the surplus, like, I mean, this money and wealth, and just invests it in this propaganda, like making people work even more. And people don't get anything, but these people who are on the top get everything. And the whole idea, like, work hard. Well, probably I'm not sure whether or not Bertrand Russel will argue in this, like say the same. But for me, it seems like this is kind of valid argument. But of course, it's vague and it requires certain elaboration. But again, the whole idea of this paragraph, as he says, like when he was a young boy, he was told that he must work a lot, and he followed this advice. But his like soul, whatever we may call it, was rebellious, and he like started developing the opposite idea, so that instead of doing something for work, go and do nothing. Yeah, okay, let's read the second paragraph. I'm already excited about it, and I'm very excited about this type of reading. So usually I don't read like that. Usually I take a book and read it like fast, and I'm not trying to understand everything. So now, for example, I read the paragraph and I tried to make sense of it, and I spent more time making sense of the paragraph than reading the paragraph. Whereas when I read in my casual way, I just do it like, I'm reading 100 pages, and then I spend 5 minutes making sense of it. And then I read another 100 pages. I mean, it's like such type of reading. And yeah, it's quite different. And now I see that I rarely did that in my past. I mean, I read hundreds of books, and I read them on like fast, and I was always trusting to my mind. I was thinking that okay, it doesn't matter actually whether or not I'm able to understand everything. It's not important. What's really important to get through the book, and my mind will naturally uh, grasp the important points which it has to grasp. If not, it's just not important. I don't need to force myself to consider every paragraph slowly. But now I see some benefits in doing that as well. Okay, let's go on. Before advancing my own arguments for laziness, I must dispose of one which I cannot accept. Whenever a person who already has enough to live on proposes to engage in some everyday kind of job, such as school teaching or typing, he or she is told that such conduct takes the breath out of other people's mouths and is therefore wicked. Oh, okay. If this argument were valid, it would only be necessary for us all to be idle in order that we should all have our mouths full of bread. What people who say such things forget is that what a man earns, he usually spends, and in spending, he gives employment. As long as a man spends his income, he puts just as much bread into people's mouths in spending as he takes out of other people's mouths in earning. The real villain from this point of view is the man who saves. If he merely puts his savings in a stocking, like the proverbial French peasant, it is obvious that they do not give employment. If he invests his savings, the matter is less obvious and different cases arise. All right, so before, once again, let's make a short comment on this paragraph. So he says before giving his real arguments, he wanna he wanna reject the common argument, which is like when some people already have enough to live, if they go to work, they steal from those who may, who don't have enough to live and have to work. In other words, like now, for example, I have enough money to live, but I may go and teach English. I may find some students and I may just teach them English. And according to this argument, I'll steal money from other teachers who don't have enough money and don't have enough students. So that's the idea. And Bertrand Russell says it's like nonsense in this paragraph. Okay, let's get further. One of the commonest things to do with savings is to lend them to some government. In view of the fact that the bulk of the public expenditure of most civilized governments consists in payment for past wars or preparations for future wars, the man who lends his money to a government is in the same position as the bad man in Shakespeare who hire murderers. The net result of the man's economical habits is to increase the armed forces of the state to which he lends his savings. Obviously, it would be better if he spent the money, even if he spent it in drink or gambling. Okay, the whole idea of this paragraph. So do not invest in government, since government spends money on wars or on preparation for a war, and it's not gonna go anywhere. So it's not a good idea. And he gives a funny example. So like of Shakespearean character who pays murderers. So to invest money in government, according to this paragraph, is to just to pay the assassins, the murderers. And according to Bertrand Russell, it's not a good idea. All right, let's see what's going on further. But I shall be told, the case is quite different when savings are invested in industrial enterprises. When such enterprises succeed and produce something useful, this may be conceded. In these days, however, no one will deny that most enterprises fail. That means that a large amount of human labor, which might have been devoted to producing something that could be enjoyed, was expended on producing machines which, when produced, lay idle and did no good to anyone. The man who invests his savings in a concern that goes bankrupt is therefore injured others as well as himself. If he spends his money, say, in giving parties for his friends, they, we may hope, would get pleasure, and so would all those upon whom he spent money, such as the butcher, the baker, and the bootlegger. But if he spends it, let us say, upon laying down rails for surface cart in some place where surface cars turn out not to be wanted, he has diverted a mass of labor into channels where it gives pleasure to no one. Nevertheless, when he becomes poor through failure of his investment, he will be regarded as a victim of undeserved misfortune. Whereas the gay spendthrift, what's the word? Spendthrift. Someone who spends money carelessly even when they do not have a lot of it.
Spendthrift.
Spendthrift. Okay. Spendthrift. A new word. Who has spent his money philanthropically, will be despised as a fool and a frivolous person. All right. So what's here? Let's make sense of it. Do not spend your money. Yeah, what you want to say that people who spend money on some useless enterprises, like building roads in the place where these roads are unwanted. It's like, it's also stupid. It's not the same as investing in government, who that that spends money on wars, but it's also not a good idea. But I will probably disagree now, since there's even those projects which were bankrupt, they still led to some developments. And anyway, I don't want to argue. I just my purpose here is to understand the the text, the idea. But no, it's like arguing also makes sense. I mean, yeah, if I might argue with that, why not? If I want to argue with with his with his point, why don't I do that? It's like, it makes a lot of sense and it's funny. I mean, arguing is always funny and it helps me understand. So I probably need to argue on purpose. So I need to uh, turn his whole argument upside down to understand it better. But yeah, now I don't have, like, I don't want to do that, since I know how much time it requires, and probably I need to get through every sentence once again and read all these words and try to make sense of each individual sentence expression and try to see how it works, how it doesn't work. Okay, now it's not the purpose, and I don't have a lot of time. I'm about to finish. I guess the last paragraph is going to be the last paragraph. All this is only a preliminary. I want to say, in all seriousness, that a great deal of harm is being done in the modern world by belief that the virtuousness of work and that the road to happiness and prosperity lies in an organized diminution of work. Diminution. I guess it's kind of worship, but let's check it out to see diminution, at least pronunciation.
Diminution.
Diminution, yeah. A reduction in the size, number. Oh no, it's like, or amount of something. Diminution is like, means it's decreasement, decrease. It's a decrease, diminution, but an organized diminution of work. Oh, okay. It's like belief in the virtuousness of work. He says it's causes a great harm, and the road to happiness and prosperity lies in organized diminution of work. So we must develop. Yeah, it's, I guess it was Bertrand Russell's, like, exercise. He didn't mean it. It was kind of irony for at that time, at the beginning of 19th century, it was insane. So if you go and say that publicly, basically you ruin. Oh, but if you're a philosopher, of course, you may say whatever you like and just argue. And I guess it's going to be a funny essay. I'm already, I'm excited to read it further, but for now, I don't have time, and I see already there's kind of pressure. I mean, I feel kind of intellectual. No, I need to make a break. Probably I'll read this article later in the day, or no, I just put it to the next day. Then came back tomorrow. So okay, let's stop the video. It was kind of interesting today, more interesting than yesterday. And now I understand a little bit more about leisure, since I was, I almost finished reading the article. I considered this article, I analyzed in details every part of it. And I also started reading an article by Bertrand Russel. And I also watched a lecture about leisure yesterday, which I didn't mention. It was a lecture by Wes Cecil, which I also published on my group in VK. And before I recommended to watch this lecture to the members of my speaking club. I guess it's might be exciting if some of them will watch, and we may discuss it, since like Wes Cecil, it's for me it's like watching comedy. So yesterday I said something about comedy, and I said that I don't like to spend my time watching some performance and comedy, but when I listen to Wes Cecil, for me it's even more than comedy, since, well, there's lots of laugh, but besides, it's a really educated activity. So I mean, I learn a lot from listening to lectures like that, and it's also fun. I mean, there are lots of fun there. Anyway, let's stop here. So if you are new to my channel, just make sure to subscribe, click the like button, and all these stupid things, and write the comments. Once again, if you are a native speaker and you want to help me to speak better, I mean, to develop my skill, you may just write all, like not all, but if you notice when I say something in an awkward way, so it may make sense, but it sounds awkwardly, since like native speaker usually don't say it like that. They use a different expression. And in my case, again, I was self-taught. I mean, I never studied English at any school, and most of the time, not most of the time, but quite often I use expressions, just direct translations from my Russian language, since yeah, it's just the way how I think. But if there's a better way of saying something, what I say, you may help me. You may just say, look, you said at this minute this phrase, and it's better be said in a different way. So if you will write me comments, it's like it's gonna really help. And that's all, I guess. So see you next time. Bye bye.